At the heart of lifestyle diseases is nutrition and good health. Last time when we had our doctor join us, she told us about lifestyle diseases. She told us how to identify signs and symptoms. And beyond that, we spoke that the most important thing in all these things is the preventive part. And now today we want to take the angle of nutrition and good health. How can we incorporate good food for better health, or for your better overall well-being? My name is Erica Okeyo, and welcome once again to another episode of Talk, Share and Inspire. I have the pleasure to introduce once again Dr. Nina.
Hi Erica, thank you so much for having me again.
Yes, yeah, you are much welcome. And now today we want to, the other day we were scratching the surface when it comes to nutrition. And now today we want to go really, really deep. We want to talk about food groups. I want someone to actually, we said good nutrition, eat well, but what exactly is eating well? What are some of the things that someone can, incorporate here and there for their overall well-being? So yeah, let's first start from what is good nutrition according to you?
For me, good nutrition is just a balanced diet. You need to have, so you need components of all the major food groups. You need your carbohydrates, you need your proteins, and you need your fats. But good nutrition is having them in moderation. Yeah, that's what I'd say is good nutrition.
A balanced diet?
A balanced diet.
And having
in moderation.
In moderation.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that's proper nutrition for our overall well-being.
Yes.
So yeah, now let's talk about the practical tips of a good nutrition. How does that look like? This is my plate of food.
So in your plate of food, you need about 40, it's very hard, but ideally you need 40% of your carbohydrates. So your carbohydrates are your starches. For us, it's your rice, your ugali, your chapati, your spaghetti. I don't know if I've left anyone out. Yeah, so that is the...
Potatoes?
Your viazes, your warus, for sure. So that should be 40%. And then
about sweet potatoes and...
Sweet potatoes, Irish potatoes, they're all potatoes.
Okay,
they're not all potatoes. They're not all potatoes, but they're all starches. So they're mainly carbohydrates. So that should be about 40% of your plate. Then another 30% should be your proteins. So your proteins is your lean meats, for those who take meat, your chicken, your beef, and your fish. And then also your greens come in there. Your soya, your beans, your legumes, ideally, your chickpeas and the likes come in there.
Your
and then
green
you need
grams.
your green grams. And then you also need 30% of fat in you. So that ideally constitutes to about 100%. Ideally, your food should also be accompanied by a fruit so that you can also add on to your minerals and your extra vitamins.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 40% carbohydrates, 30% protein,
and 30% fat.
Because you can't calculate, maybe we'll just see how that looks like.
Ideally, you can calculate, but you can. There are diagrams for it.
Okay. But before we even get there, I'm really interested to know. This is not the first time I hear a doctor or a medical profession calling meat lean. So what is lean meat?
I don't know. It's just lean meat,
How is it lean?
I don't know how to describe it. It's for us. It's just lean meat. It's not very fatty.
Oh yes, I think you should.
Yeah, so it's not very fatty. It's just like your fish and your chicken tend to be more lean meat because they have less fatty components compared to the proteins. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
All right. So yeah, chicken and fish, they're
more
less
lean.
fatty. So
Less
lean
fatty.
is less fatty.
Less fatty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that. So how can I ensure that I am including good nutrients in my plate?
Just what we talked about.
The 40-30.
The 40-30. But I mean, it's not always practical, especially in the kind of economy we live in. It's very hard for you to tell somebody with every meal you need to have a carbohydrate, you need to have a starch. I mean, you need to have a carbohydrate, you need to have a protein, and you need to have a fat. That's hard, especially in our current economics status, So you just need to balance your diet and ideally everything in moderation. If you're having your carbs with your skuma or you're having your carbs with your mboga kienyeji, your brenda, saga, your greens, they should be in moderation, not to have a whole mold of your gali and then your tumbogas are so little.
Yeah, because I actually heard that, for anyone who doesn't know, mrenda, saga, those are traditional vegetables here in Kenya, and they are very nutritious. I hear that if I'm having a round plate, half of that plate should be vegetables.
Yes.
Is that true?
So again, with the You see, you're doing 40%, so the other 60 is to your fats and your proteins. You see,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So
40,
and then the other
60, then 30, 30.
no, so
I'm trying to draw.
Yeah, exactly. It's so hard to draw, but yeah.
So let's see. This is my plate.
So you have a plate. You see, this is your plate. Or maybe at times we can also use your hands as portioning. You know, you can use a palm of your hand, can use a fist of your hand, then you can use a cup of your hand also. I think that tends to be more practical, you know. Yeah.
Okay. I've heard before, maybe you can help us clarify, that whole and processed carbohydrates or groups of food are recommended generally. Is that true, and why?
So we recommend more
what
whole
does that
foods
look like?
and less processed foods. So your processed foods are your canned foods, you know. Your whole foods is like from farm to table, fresh. You know, that's your whole food. But your processed is whatever has been made in a company. You know, like you have your canned fruits, that's processed food. You can have your corn that is in a can, that's processed.
Okay,
so we recommend whole foods more compared to processed, because processed tend to have more additives. You have added sugar, you have added salt, which we do not recommend, you know. And then it strips them of some of the nutritious value, some of the micronutrients that you would find in your whole foods, and also some of the fibers. So we just recommend your whole foods. I think for most of us, we're fortunate to live in Kenya, and we have a lot of farm to table. You know, you have a lot of sokos, so many, you know, like even your local just kasoko over there.
So let me just break it down for someone. Whole foods could look like arrowroots.
Yes.
Could look like sweet potatoes. Could look like your potatoes.
Your potatoes, yeah.
That comes from the farm.
Farm
I
to
cook
table,
it to my plate.
Yeah, that's
right.
your whole food. Yeah.
And then they could also look like greens,
Your
that I
greens.
buy at the market. It's just I just found it at the market. Maybe, yeah, it could be I found them at the market, or I have like
Or
a
you have
kitchen
your kitchen.
garden.
Yes.
So that one, the carrots,
Yeah.
the tomatoes, all that is whole food.
Those are whole foods.
Okay.
Then anything else that is processed that
Is frozen food processed?
Yes.
Oh, how? I thought like
So you need to add
I boil
additives.
beans. Oh, okay.
If you buy it, no, if I make it in the house and I freeze it, then it's fine. But if I bought it from the supermarket, then you need to add a preservative so that it can stay longer. If you do notice, some of the foods can have a 6 months duration to like from when it's manufactured to when it's best buy or expiry date. So it can
I thought
stay.
that's a good thing, no?
No, if because you've had to add a preservative to it, you know. Ideally, some foods, your whole foods will not last 6 months in your freezer, you know. And ideally, even if your food is in the freezer, the longer it stays, the more nutrients die off. Yeah. So processed is whatever is chemicalized, you know, whatever you're buying from the supermarket that has been, whatever has additives in it is processed, you know. And then anything else other than that is whole food.
Yeah, I'd really like to know, is this information that you knew before, or are you just getting to know this? I am surprised to actually know that food that is frozen, that is in the supermarket, has additives. Is this something that you knew? If you do, please tell us in the comment section. Yeah, I'd really just like to know what people think around that. And then maybe something else we should talk about. You see, we have already talked about the 40% should be carbohydrates. Is it no? Veggies.
40 carbohydrates.
40 carbohydrates.
Yes.
30 proteins, 30 fats.
Yes.
Okay. So please tell us the benefits of carbohydrates, veggies, and fruits and stuff like that. We can start with the carbohydrates.
I mean, carbohydrates is your energy block. You know, that is what your body is using to break down to make energy. So it is good. Like, don't deny yourself carbohydrates, you know, because that's what your body is using.
Say that again.
Do not deny yourself carbohydrates.
Because
yes.
they're energy giving.
You see. But everything that we're consuming in moderation. So your fruits tend to have more of your micronutrients and some of your vitamins, like oranges, the citrus fruits, very rich in vitamin C, you see. Yeah, and then your veggies also, and your proteins, those are now building blocks, you see. Like you'll find so many gym guys want to eat a lot of protein because it's mass building.
Also, yeah, proteins are body building.
Yes, mass
carbohydrates,
building,
energy building.
Yes.
And then fruits and veggies?
Those are for your nutrients. Your micronutrients, your extra vitamins are for your fruits and veggies.
What is micronutrients, Daktari?
So apple, you have the zinc, you have selenium. So those,
okay.
yeah. So we don't notice it until you lack it. You know?
Okay.
So
okay.
just because
because I've had people taking zinc supplements,
magnesium
supplements.
so that is available in your fruit and the likes, you see. Yeah, so most of the times you don't know that you don't have it until you start lacking.
Okay. You know why that is very important? There's so much information online about carbohydrates not being a good source of, like us, you see the way we are talking about balance, everything to be taken in moderation.
Yeah.
But then unfortunately, because of lack of knowledge and not a lot of awareness outside here, I personally have seen videos where they're telling you to cut down on your carbs. I tried that. I have a tasting. I at some point wanted to like
Keto
lose some
diet.
kilos.
Yeah.
Yes, and those keto things.
Yes.
I tried to. I was like, they're like, the carbohydrates, that is what gets you like add a lot of weight and stuff like that. So I tried to cut down on my carbs. I started eating less bread and stuff like that. I was eating like lots of eggs and
the proteins.
But I used to feel so hungry. Not even hungry. I'd feel hungry very fast, number one. Then the other thing, I'd feel exhausted really fast. Like my energy levels were wanting. And then, yes.
So, I mean, I feel like diets should be personalized. So that's the problem with the internet. There's so much for you to consume. So you'll hear there's a keto diet, then you'll hear there's intermittent fasting. So
what is intermittent fasting?
So I'm not very versed in that area, but what I know ideally is you don't eat for a certain period. Like you have a window period to eat. And then you can eat, you can consume what you want. And then
what I want,
I think so.
Whether it's healthy or not.
I think ideally, if you're fasting, it should be healthy. You know?
No, I've actually heard they keep saying that you can do the good thing with intermittent fasting. It gives you the freedom to eat whatever you want. Because they say when you're eating. When let's say you're cutting down on processed foods and stuff like that, you're looking at someone who doesn't want to cut down on their pizza and things like that. So I fast from, let's say, maybe I've had there's 14-8.
Yes.
So I fast for 14 hours and I eat for 8 hours.
Yes.
So that one looks like, no, I don't know. Let me talk about the 16-8 one because I've tried that one. So I've tried so many things. Senior, don't just sit here. So
you should be seated on this side then, and I should be asking the question.
I'm just for me, it's just things that I saw. I do not have the experience.
It's
things that I tried and what I experienced. For 16-8, I'd probably start eating at midday.
Yes.
And eat all the way to 8.
And were you allowed to eat anything that you want?
Yeah, I read. Nobody gave me the permission. I read. So I gave myself
You permitted yourself.
Yes, to eat whatever I want. So I could have my chocolate, my pizzas, and all that if I'd want to. Then at 8 p.m., I'd stop eating. And then I learned that was very restrictive because I kept that is, you could help us clarify that. For example, when I eat pizza or chips, I'd feel hungry very fast. You'll tell us why. Maybe I don't know the reason. So I'd feel very hungry, when I eat my chips or my pizza. So I'd find myself eating a lot,
during that period.
Yes. So it wasn't like really working. Then I noticed also, just probably it was a conviction or something. I learned that I was not even healthy to begin with. So maybe I'd want to know, why is it that chips and pizzas and all those things make you feel hungry? Or was it just my experience?
So most of the times you'll find they're processed foods. Even the pizza, the dough that they're using, it's processed, So most of the nutritious have been stripped of the fibers.
So that's what happens when
we're eating your pizzas. There's no fiber added unless it's your little toppings. There's no fiber added onto that diet, So most of your nutritious, your fibers have been stripped off. So maybe that's where you tend to be a little bit hungrier. But about the dieting and the fasting, honestly, it's usually individual based. Ideally, you can talk to your nutritionist and see what fits you. So the problem right now with the internet is there's so much to consume. So it's not one for all.
One size fits all
even from a medical perspective. So patients with kidney diseases, some of them need to go on a kidney-based diet, So where we restrict some of this, like some of the salts can be restricted and the stuff. A patient with heart disease also has, so the problem is we are consuming a lot on the internet, but we are not personalizing it to what fits us.
Okay. I love that. So the only way that I can probably personalize is go to a nutritionist.
Probably talk to a nutritionist.
Yeah.
Tell them what
Let me
your
get professional health.
So
my health goals.
what your health goals are. So we
Okay.
check your BMI. Do you think you're morbidly obese? Do you think you're obese? Do you think you're underweight? You know, you can actually be underweight, and we
So
need
you
to.
said morbidly obese is heading towards obese, or?
No. So you are underweight, then you are of okay weight, then you are overweight, and then you are obese, and then you're morbidly obese. You know, yeah, and all of that is just
So
based on
morbidly
your
obese
BMI.
is the worst.
Yes.
Oh.
So for in that you are 100 kilos plus, you know, but it also depends. Like all of this is calculated based on your BMI. So it is ideally for your height what weight you should be. You see, and it's a range. So it's a range. It's not just one. So it's like 18 to 19, 19 to 20, 20 to 21. So it's a range. I can't remember the numbers properly right now, but it's a range. You see, so wherever you fall. So that wherever you fall, you talk to your nutritionist. Then we see what deficiencies you have, what we need to adjust to, what excesses you have, what we need to adjust to. And then the other thing, diet goes alongside exercise. So I think that's where most of us are lacking. So you just are very strict on the diet, but you're not physically fit. You see?
Okay.
So they go hand in hand. So you can diet to lose weight, but ideally you should also put yourself physically fit, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true. I also once heard that if, let's say, I'm doing intermittent fasting or I'm doing all these keto things and stuff like that, I can end up having hanging, like loose skin.
So if you do lose, like if you are morbidly obese and you do lose a lot of weight, yes, then you know the problem, the skin is stretching, and so the skin is very good, it stretches. But then normally when you lose weight, then it's not as tensile to come back as it was before, you see. So you can have a lot of loose skin when you lose a lot of weight very fast. You know?
So I'm losing a lot of weight.
You're losing a lot of weight very fast.
So that
you
can
tend
look
to
like
have
I went to an extreme diet for a period of like a month. I've had, it's called OMAD, 1 meal a day. So I'm only eating once a day, and maybe not so well. Okay.
So so that's how you get like your loose skin. But diet is individually based, is what I would recommend. With your nutritionist, your fitness advisor, you know, your instructor, it should be you. It shouldn't be what someone else is doing on the internet. You know, you've seen on Instagram or TikTok, this influencer is doing this and this is working for them.
There's a challenge.
It doesn't work like that, because as you see, ideally, to be honest, some of the people we actually do see on social media, we can tell you for a fact that this person probably went under a procedure. They've gotten a gastric sleeve done, they've gotten a gastric balloon, you know.
What's a gastric balloon again?
So for some morbidly obese or obese people, or people who feel like they're underweight, you can undergo certain medical procedures in which for your tummy, you go and then they reduce the size, you know, so that whatever food you're eating, so a smaller portion fills you early.
Oh.
So if you were used to eating a
less?
full, you're eating less.
So I'm not gaining as much weight.
Yes.
Okay.
And you're burning whatever, like the fats that you had in your body, you're also burning them. So because maybe if I eat an apple, I feel full. But before I'd have eaten an apple, a banana, and a watermelon, you see. So when we see, I can tell you for a fact, the period of time that this person has lost weight does not make sense. So ideally, I think this person has had a gastric sleeve, but the person is here promoting a diet.
A diet.
Yes.
Yeah, juicing.
Yeah, they tell you that they've only
they're
been juicing. Yeah,
they're doing veggies.
Yes. So you
21
decide to
days.
consume that, and you just decide to juice yourself to death.
Okay.
Yeah. So
sad.
everything should be consumed
In moderation.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the other point I want us to go to, portion control and moderation. Because, you know, sometimes I can be taking the right thing, but in excess. For example, I'm thinking of someone who has learned about good carbohydrates, and now they take 7 chapatis.
Maybe they have a big plate.
7 brown chapatis.
You know, if you have a big plate, you can fit your 7 chapatis into a 40%. You're like,
Daktari,
this is,
but
Daktari
7
said,
chapatis.
but Daktari said a third of my plate should be carbohydrates, you know.
Tell us about that portion control.
So for portion control, most of the times people use it to lose weight, actually. You know, like if I'm to keep fit or to keep at your current weight, you know. So ideally, you should just make your, so you can use your hands, like what we were saying. You can use a portion of your hands, you see. For men, you should use 2 portions of your hands. For women, you use just a single portion. So
why exactly is that?
I mean, men do have higher caloric intake than women.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they need more food than we do?
so they need more food than we do, but they need more they need more calories, more protein.
Also,
men tend to have a bigger body mass than women, so they do need the little extra, you know.
Okay. So yeah, if I eat one and some...
Nobody's saying that if you eat one, the man should eat two or three. Nobody's saying that. No. But you might find that you will find yourself eating one chapati and the man might eat two. You know, the problem with if you say that, they can decide to say, you've eaten two, I'll eat four.
I'll eat five.
Yeah, I'll eat five, you know, and no, that's not recommended. But ideally, yes, men do have a higher caloric intake and higher caloric demands compared to women. So yeah, that's why you find themselves eating twice the portion.
Okay, yeah. So even as we come towards the tail end of this conversation, I'm thinking about, apart from portion control and all that kind of thing, I want you to let's build a little bit on the portion control. What are some of the negative effects of taking too much of something? Let's say I've learned that lean protein is good. So I'm having too much lean protein. I'm having too much. You'll also tell us, like, fruits. Yeah. Fruits are usually generally recommended. You see, we said instead of a sweet, we said in our other session, let's reach out for bananas.
Yes.
But can it get to a point where I'm having too many bananas? I'm having a lot of oranges. Is that a thing?
That's a thing. Because bananas are very rich in protein. So if you eat too many bananas, you can actually increase a lot of your... Bananas are very rich in potassium. So that's one of the electrolytes in your body. So if you eat too many bananas, you can actually increase your potassium levels, which has its own adverse effects. But primarily so if you eat too many carbohydrates, then you don't get enough protein. So carbohydrates can be converted to fat, so you become bigger. You know,
okay.
And so the proteins build your protein mass, but your carbohydrates can be converted to fat. So you tend to find yourself you're bigger. The other effect of eating too many of a specific subset is you deny yourself the other. So if you're only eating, let's say you're eating too many chips, you're not going to eat any protein, you know.
Or even I'm eating a lot of
salad. If you're eating too much salad, then you're lacking... So you're going to end up lacking one thing, you know. So like the take-home message for today is everything should be done in moderation and a balanced diet, you know. Yeah,
so I want you to give a number of tips and strategies. We are looking at 3 categories of people. The first category is someone who wants to lose weight. Okay, they have already seen. They saw the session on lifestyle diseases and they're like, you know what, I need to make a bit of changes. What happens to that person? And then there's this person who probably consumed too much social media and they're now underweight. Okay, they have been told you need to take care of your health. So let's break it down. The first category, someone who wants to lose weight.
I think for everyone, I would say consult your medical practitioner. But however, so if you want to lose weight, so it should be individualized. You see, your diet should be based on you know. And the reason we say that is also because of financial constraint. You see, you can find some of these diets are telling you to eat salad, eat nuts. Some of these things are very expensive in the market.
Things are generally expensive.
Exactly.
Yes.
You see, so
like a lettuce here in Kenya is what, 130.
Exactly.
It's like, and with the 130, I can get chips, I mean.
But that's a bad example anyway.
No, but you see,
that's the reality.
There are better alternatives.
That's the reality of health right now. So processed food tend to be cheaper compared to whole foods. You see, if you're to buy bread, is 100 shillings. You know, like if you're to get like the normal bread.
Yes, like 400 grams.
400 grams of bread.
Sliced bread.
But if you want to get whole meal bread, it can range up to 200 to 400 depending on where you're buying.
Kenyan shillings, that's double,
so you see, so that's why we say most of these things, consult your professional. We factor in your economic, financial status. And then the other thing, exercise. Like I said before, there's no diet without exercise, you see. For the person who has been consuming too much internet, especially those ones, if you lose a lot of weight, you tend to be at risk of anorexia, bulimia. So those ones for sure.
What is anorexia and bulimia?
So they are eating disorders. So that's part of also like healthcare. So they're eating disorders. So for an anorexic person, you deny yourself. You deny yourself feeding.
1 meal a day.
Exactly. And then for the bulimic person, you consume whatever you're eating, but then you vomit it.
Oh.
Yes.
So you eat it, but I will fully vomit.
But you will fully vomit.
Why?
So that you don't put the food down. I mean,
it's a disorder. It's clearly a disorder.
Yeah,
Because I don't get why I'd eat then forcefully.
it's medical disorders, you see, but they're also attached to people who are, and that's why for anyone who's struggling, especially with weight, I'd say consult your medical profession, because sadly in this generation there's a lot of body shaming, you see.
Yeah,
So you might find somebody
unfortunately.
who's over higher weight, but is physically fit than me. Like she can probably run a mile or two, you know. But then society will see my body habitus and say I'm healthier than her, you see. So that's also something in the back of our minds that we need to keep,
To
think about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said if you're overweight, consult your medical profession.
If you're underweight, consult your medical profession.
Wow. Like you can't give us tips before. Let's say I can't afford a medical like I can't go to a doctor.
You can. If you can't, you can go to a nutritionist. If you can't,
Okay.
yeah, you can go to a nutritionist. We have a lot of online. So the problem with online content is you have to be very judicious in how you consume it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can check your national guidelines. Some of these things are just online. Like it's just a Google search away. Yeah.
Yeah, we should actually. I think that's the point. Raise your awareness.
Yes, we should raise
Read
awareness.
a lot.
Read a lot,
Get
but
to know,
also
because there are very
be.
good books
The
when it
books.
comes to nutrition that have been written. Let's say I'm thinking about someone who probably does not have like direct access to a nutritionist.
Yeah.
I don't know where to get them. It's a lot of I have to take time, use money, go to a doctor, but I can get I can get that information
From
in a book.
in the internet, and such things like your program, like what you're running right now. You're going to, so as you continue talking
Watch,
to us,
talk, share, and inspire, and
Exactly.
share it with your friends so that they can see how they should take care of their
so
health.
such programs do raise a lot of awareness. So there's somebody at home who didn't know that they're overweight, they're anorexic, they're having bulimia, you know. But now they are aware that this is a medical condition that needs medical help. So they actually seek out somebody to help them. Yeah. So
All right. Wow. That was a very long but very deep conversation and very insightful. And I'm sure you have a parting shot. Maybe a parting shot to a young person. You're still young.
I am. Thank you. Thankfully, I am.
We are both very young.
To my peers.
Yes. To your peers and people who are like younger than you, or someone who's just like watching and they want to make changes. What are some of the things? Probably things you learned that you think they should do better.
I think the first thing I'll tell anyone is to love themselves, just how they are. You know, some people, you might be of a bigger body habitus, but you might not know that it's because of a genetic component, you know. So the first thing is love yourself, because body shaming tends to also impact our mental health, and you know, health is mental wellness, emotional, social, financial. So that's one. Secondly, let's keep fit. You know, anyone. Like, let us just all 30 minutes in a day should not be a lot. You can take a 30-minute walk, 30-minute jog, 30 minutes. So 30 minutes of fitness. And then let's do portion control, and everything should be had in moderation, is what I'd say.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Daktari. I don't think I have anything meaningful to add when it comes to nutrition. I hope these things have been very insightful and you'll incorporate whatever it is that you need to do to have a better health. God bless you, and see you in another episode of Talk, Share, and Inspire. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.